Chef Dean Corbett here. Today we're going to talk about tenderloin. How do we clean a whole tenderloin? We are in Louisville, Kentucky, of course, but I buy all my beef from Creekstone Farms out of Kansas City. And I'll tell you what, it is the best I've been able to find. This is called their Master Chef series, which is an upper two-thirds choice. Wonderful. Normally, if you go to the store and you ask for a whole tenderloin, you're going to get it packaged like this, and you're going to have to do the work yourself. So I'm going to take you through it really quick. First thing I like to do is go ahead and flip it on the back side, because there's what they call purge in here, and take a knife and gently open this bag up. When I pull out my tenderloin, I want to make sure that I don't have all this blood dripping from the tenderloin everywhere. So I'm going to do my best to pull it out gently and then go ahead and discard the bag. And that way I've stayed really neat. Now I have a towel, and I'm going to, very, very clean towel, and what I'm doing is drying this tenderloin off. There's some purge in it, which purge is just blood, and it's natural. It's in everything that we buy. It's in chicken, duck, meat, everything. But you always want to start with a very, very clean piece of meat. We're going to flip it on the other side and do the same thing. All right, so with tenderloin, you have a butt end, the fat end, you have a tail end at the top. I like to take both of those off, not completely, but just a little bit of it before I start. So I'm going to take the last 2 inches off the tail end, and I'm going to discard that, but I'm going to go through later and clean that. And I'm not going to deal with the butt yet. Right along here is called the chain. So you've got the center part of the tenderloin, and then you have what's called a chain. With your finger, you can go through and release this connective tissue from the chain and separate it with your finger. So don't be afraid of that. You'll see it. See how I'm separating it like that? So I've got a perfect line there. So this is going to be where you get all your nice filet meat from. This is where you can get a little bit of extra things for sautés and so forth. But this part, it comes off and is usually ground in most professional kitchens for ground beef and so forth. So with my knife, I'm going to go through and I'm going to cut along that chain very cleanly and take it off. Just like that. Now, this is perfectly good meat, as well as this middle and everything else. So after this, you can trim that off. You can do a little juliennes of it for a stir fry. You can grind it for your own burger at home if you have a grinder. Whatever you do, don't throw it out. It's not wasted product, folks. It's a very, very good product. The next step in this is removing what they call this visceral tissue or silver skin. You hear people refer to silver skin a lot. That's what this is. It does kind of have the color of silver, but a lot of it you can pull off by hand, as I'm doing. Just basically pulling it right off. Also using my knife to release a little bit of it, as you can see. Very, very, very easy. Now that is garbage. You do not want to use that. That needs to go into your waste container. All right, so we're looking pretty good here. We've got a pretty clean tenderloin. But what we're going to do now is remove this silver skin. And this is a process which is, it's not as difficult as it may sound. Using a boning knife, and this is where your boning knife comes in handy, try as carefully as you can to put your knife underneath that silver skin, and then pick up that piece where you've done this cut, put your knife back under there, and as you're pulling on the skin, you're actually running your knife on the bottom. And see how it comes off? So clean. So I'll try and do one, maybe you see a little bit better. See, just like that. So I'm running right along there, and I'm leaving no waste. I'm getting all of it off. This is where you're going to get a really super nice fillet, dead center. We want to get all that off because that's generally not palatable. There are some people that might leave it on or so forth, but I don't particularly care for it. So once again, I can use my knife, get a little extra fat off. And fat is good. You don't want to take off every little bit of the fat on these tenderloins. All right, now we're down to our butt end here. You see this is actually also has a connective section. So what we want to do is gently remove that, but at the same time not lose any product, because this is great. So I'm going to follow the line once again, perfectly follow the line, and what I have is one really large nice section, which I'll show you what to do with. I'm going to cut off that little end, which we can use for our burger or our saute or whatever, and then I'm flipping the tenderloin. I'm looking for one more little bit of silver skin we want to remove here, and then this fat on the bottom, I leave quite a bit of it, but the big stuff you want to go ahead and get off. You know, there's some belly fat on here that you want to go ahead and try and get off. That is grindable. You can use that for grinding. All right, we've got a really nice piece. Now, you say to yourself, I want 8-ounce fillets. What do I do with the little pieces? Well, there's a dish called turnitos. You can do 2 4-ounce medallions. You can do 3 3-ounce medallions, whatever you want to do. So starting at one of the ends, we have a small piece. This one's still not large enough for a full fillet. All right, there you have a nice dish. Turnitos, exactly. Be very nice. Once you've sauteed your little mushrooms, boom, there you go, and you got a nice garnish. Next, we're at a point where we can start to cut full-size fillets. So there is a nice, beautiful, center-cut Creekstone Farms fillet. Another one, 2, 3. Use a scale if you have a question. I don't need a scale because I've done this 1,000 times, but you use one that is a perfect center-cut Creekstone Farms fillet. So we've got 4 fillets out of this tenderloin, 5 fillets out of the tenderloin. We're going to keep cutting. These are all 8-ounce. All really good. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 of those, and then 2 more small medallions. So far, if I was doing this in a restaurant environment, I've got 8 fillets and 2 dishes with the turnitos. All right, now what about this butt end? Let's get back to it. Clean it up a little bit. Once again, you're going to remove the silver skin as cleanly as you can. Any of this that you see, because that's unpalatable. It really is when you cook it up. It's very difficult. All right, on this side, we've got a pretty good section of fat we want to get off as well. You want to clean it up the very best you can. And there's a difference between good fat and silver skin. But here we go. So let's even this out. We're going to take off both ends, and we've got this really, really nice piece. So we can either do 2 fillets with this, 2 8-ounce fillets, or we can cut it into medallions. I like to cut more of the medallions up. That one's kind of small. So we have got so much product here to utilize. So if you're at home and you've got one tenderloin that weighs 6 pounds, you just got 8 full fillets, 4 different dinners with turnitos of beef, and then all this nice scrap that you can julienne for different meals, or you can grind for a wonderful, wonderful burger. Don't forget about your chain. Clean it, but make sure you get all the silver skin and the fat off. Most of all, enjoy great beef, because there's just nothing like it. Creekstone makes the absolute best in the country, and I hope you learned a lot and took a lot away from this.